RTD Live Talk. Good evening. It is Thursday night, 9:31. Logging on a little bit late, but yet looking forward to having some good conversation tonight. And so trying something different. So we are now live. So I'll give it a second before I start chit chatting and getting into tonight's conversation or getting into tonight's topics. So appropriate messages turn on. Yes. So good evening, everybody. I'll give it a couple seconds before we start chit chatting. But if you're new viewer to RTD, I would love to find out where you are checking in from around this planet. And so, as the over the last couple of weeks, we've had more people chime in. So, looking forward to having people call in. As you can see, the number above my head, and also looking forward to finding out what's happening in your area in regards to the economy and markets or whatnot. As well, we got somebody from Naples, Florida, checking in. Hello, David. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. So I'm looking also to find out if we have any viewers from outside the United States of America. I'm very curious as to what's happening in your neck of the woods, wherever you might be. So other than that, looking forward to talking and finding out your thoughts on this whole negative interest rates. If you had a chance to see the video I did earlier in regards to the financial research gentleman from China that hinted at the idea of negative rates being something that will become the norm, or we should expect to hear more about that in the days ahead as we approach more of a deflationary environment leading to or triggering officially the recession. So, but other than that, we'll see what happens because I think it's inevitable. There's nowhere we can go but down. I don't really foresee central banks being able to normalize things again. And so, Emperor, you tagged me. How you doing, my friend? Got Philip from Baltimore. Saw the video. So Philip, let me know your thoughts on the video. I remember, I think it was maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I did a video talking about negative interest rates. And I know a lot of people commented saying that, oh man, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. They can never go negative. But I'm thinking like, I would have never imagined that they can go near zero and it lasts for almost a decade, or basically, 1%, one and a quarter is still technically zero in comparison to what it's been in the past. But who'd ever imagined it could have gotten so or gone so low, and they have sustained that for a decade now. And we're supposed to be in an economic expansion. So when things do turn around, as far as the truth coming out that these markets aren't as stable, and so you can kind of tell there's something going on if you just look at all the extreme drops in the Dow every other day, and how it just all of a sudden plunges or goes back up before the market closes. So you can't have many more of those days of it dropping and being propped up before something eventually just gives out. So we have Alan from Alabama. How you doing, Alan? Somebody put Mike's face on a 33 or whatever record. Okay. Worried about another false flag here in America. Jim Dean, that is a very good point, because as the narrative of an economic recovery starts to wear out and people really don't stop believing that, I'm sure a lot of people are not many people believe that anyway. And so I would imagine that's the case, because you don't even hear the mainstream media, the financial news channels talking about economic recovery. They're always talking about the stock market. Everyone's talking about the stock market. And so it's only so much longer before that stuff just becomes old, and it just something happens where people realize that it's no such thing as a recovery. We are basically crumbling at the seams. So we got Toboran. I can't. Oh, it's a long name, from Toronto, checking in. I hear a lot about that Canadian economy is not doing too well. It's not doing too well in Canada, from what I'm hearing. So, my Toronto viewer, give me a quick glimpse as to what's happening in the Canadian area. I know that my brothers from up north, Wham, or Alternative Media, they do a good job of reporting on what's happening up there. And so from what I'm seeing from their videos is that it's really not good. Really not good at all. Borderline housing collapse is already happening. The banking sector is up there is in trouble. The government is well beyond tapped out. The currency, the peg with the dollar is, the gap is widening. So what's the catalyst? Good question. And so the catalyst, I believe, which will be the trigger. If you followed me on Twitter earlier, I posted something that Leo Gantz said in our last discussion last week, and how he mentioned, and as well as several other gentlemen in the alternative media world, talked about how the bond market is where everyone kind of believes that will be the trigger when the yield curve inverts, and the idea of lending money on the, I think it's on the short end, outweighs the long term rates in regards to lending money. And then that's typically, from what I'm hearing and what I've heard, is usually the true sign that trouble is immediately following that. So I imagine that that's what they're trying to keep, as far as our narrative, going as smooth as possible, as long as they can, because everyone knows that there's problems. Everyone can tell, in my opinion. Debt, yep, too much debt, and that's the problem. Like, based upon that news story I did earlier about negative rates, it really brought to mind how the central banking model, and how just the central banking concept of a private institution basically lending money, monopolizing countries' monetary supply, lending money to the government, and so the government's going in debt to these private institutions has ran its course. I mean, there's not much more they can drain out of the system, because our government, the United States of America, is already beyond their heads in debt. And so they can continue to play this narrative that we can continue to borrow. It's going to be safe. We're borrowing from ourselves and we're lending to ourselves, all that narrative. But yet here we have the whole tariff and the trade war with China, and the idea that they're the second. I read today, they're the first, and the Federal Reserve is the second creditor to the United States of America. So if China decides to pull the plug or just get pissed off at this whole back and forth of us basically taxing them, double taxing them, we're giving them monopoly money, and then we're going to tax that monopoly money when they try to sell goods here, it's not going to work. So that's all stuff we should pay attention to. And the LIBOR rate soaring, trade deficit exactly where it was back in October 2008. Right. So you factor in Uncle Scam. That's a good one. So you factor in what our buddy Uncle Scam is saying here about the LIBOR rates and the trade deficit and all these other things that are going on. How can there not be something wrong? Something is clearly wrong, and they're trying to keep it together. And that's going to be the big question of how long can they keep this thing afloat. And so, like always, before I start chip-chapping for too long, feel free to call in. You got the number above my head. I would love to speak with someone directly and find out what's happening in your area, or any news stories, more importantly, that I have not covered or the audience might need to be aware of. Feel free to share that with us, because the whole idea is to basically help inform as many people as we can. So feel free to call in 833 live RTD, and I'll continue to just chime into the chat, see what's going on here. Someone told us to watch DeMarco 64. Yeah, I follow him. I'm aware. I watch him every now and then. He does a good job of reporting on that end. He has a history in that industry. So we have a call calling in. Let's see what we have here. Hello, caller.
Hey, what's going on? It's Kenny.
How you doing, Kenny? Where you calling from, buddy?
I'm calling from Pensacola, Florida.
Pensacola, Florida. How you doing this evening? What's on your mind?
I'm doing well, loving the show. So I was waiting on this show from you, I waited on the video from you, but you never posted it, about HR Bill 5404.
Oh,
the gold standard.
Yeah. I actually, this past week has been very hectic, but yet I actually started a video, wasn't able to finish it. And so yesterday I tried again, but still didn't get to finish it. So, but I'm more than aware of it. And I would actually love to get the Congressman Mooney on the show. If I could get Congressman Mooney on the show talking about it directly, that would be great. But I am aware of it, awesome. And I apologize for not putting it on there, but chime in on it. What are your thoughts about that?
I think it's great. At least you kind of see with Congress and like the House, their thoughts on gold. It's kind of like, well, yeah, they I guess they realize the problem too. It's not just the people, it's not just people on YouTube or, people at coin shops talking. It's actually people in the House.
Yeah.
I say representatives, they feel the same way. It's just, I don't know if they're scared or they have pressure on them to keep things the way they are. But the fact that he was willing to have the guts to, propose stuff like this is really good. I like it.
Yeah. And here's the big thing.
I don't think it'll pass though.
It won't pass because I was looking at the actual bill itself, and as of now, there's none of its constituents are actually supporting it or even going to really acknowledge it, in my opinion. So I think it's more so it's going to be an attempt on his part for his records. So he's basically coming out, and it shows his past history of bills that he's either supported or trying to put out there. And so what he's doing is building up a case for himself so that down the line he can continue his political career and say that I was a sound money guy, I was this, but yet I'm sure he's aware that it's not going to go through. But the attempt is well worth noting, because as you see also a lot of states now, predominantly out west, are legalizing or they're removing the taxation off of capital gains tax off of precious metals. And so yes. I think if more states decide to follow that pathway as far as just removing the capital gains tax off of gold and silver and allowing it to be utilized in exchange as far as paying for your bills or whatnot, that would be more of a likely step, in my opinion.
Okay, I have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, as far as percentages, I know like your channel is about rethinking the dollar. Mm-hmm. What was as far? I guess you can't get financial advice, obviously, but maybe for yourself, as far as percentages, how much would you put in precious metals, and then how much would you put, maybe crypto? That's the big thing now. Or how much would you put towards, having cash in case something does happen and you need, the bank's closed? Like,
right?
Well, how do you kind of put your portfolio?
Right. Good question. Okay, so once again, I was going to do another video with and I was going to actually do more of a structural of what I do / what I would not necessarily recommend, but what would be worth this audience taking note of. And I came up with what I call the 3 S's, or the 3 S's, basically spending, speculation, and saving. So those 3 categories is pretty much what you do with money in the first place. And so I really don't believe that conventional investing is actually still being utilized, because as you see, the stock market is fluctuating. It's causing a lot of retirees to panic nowadays because they know that any day now that thing is going to collapse. And so because of this negative interest rate / zero environment we're in, investing the way that's been done prior to when rates were normal is out the door. And in my opinion, they're never coming back under this monetary system. So basically everyone now all we're doing is speculating right now. We're speculating in every area, trying to either protect our money or grow it. And so I believe that the new model will be speculating, and that's what you see so much hype in the cryptocurrencies, because people are speculating, hoping to get some gains or make a profit off of this asset class. And so what I basically, to sum all that up, with 3 categories: saving, speculating, and spending. Saving, to me, I believe you are the same mindset. You're going to save precious metals. And so there's no exact percentage, but it's whatever you can dollar cost average and afford to set aside, because it is your savings, especially as that video I did earlier. If rates go negative, which they are, or technically they already are, because you're getting 0.01 on your savings account, and then inflation is well beyond 3%, 4 or 5%, whatever it might be for real. So you're already losing money. So we're already technically in negative interest rate territory. So saving Federal Reserve notes in the bank, you're losing. So most people will not be again saving paper much longer, especially when inflation hits and they realize it's a farce. So on a saving aspect, having precious metals in your possession as well as any other tangible assets that retain value will be worthwhile. And so I wouldn't necessarily be able to give a percentage, but out of 100% portfolio with those 3 categories, I would say the savings aspect, in my opinion, should be a little bit. I just throw out some numbers because I haven't even really thought about mine in that category yet. But say 30-40% saving with metals or tangible assets, whether it be artwork or whatever it is that retains value that can be used in a new monetary system that people would actually be in demand. And then on the spending aspect would be which will be your cash, because you need to pay for your bills and your living expenses. So beyond the idea of having an emergency fund, which some people say is $1,000 or $2,000, but it's really whatever you can afford, having some type of emergency fund of another 20-30% to pay your bills monthly. And then beyond that, the speculation aspect would then play into another, say 20-30%, where that's money that you are able to play around with and speculate as far as being able to dip and dabble in some markets and learn and educate yourself. And so I'm looking to explore the mining sector myself because I never really dived into that much. So I would put, say $50 to the side to try to get into the mining sector. Then another $50 into cryptos because that industry is not going away. Then another 50% in some online courses to educate myself. And so that's what I would use speculation wise. So out of those three, we can just for the sake of conversation, say 40, 30 or 40, 30, 30 or something like that. That's something I will play around with, but it's not set in stone because everyone's financial situation is different. So some people got more money to play with than others. Some people don't have much. So, but a dollar, one silver coin or one gold coin is a form of savings to somebody. So that's my thought.
I really appreciate your thoughts, and keep doing an awesome job. I really like your show.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate you calling in. Thank you for asking that question. It's very important. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Yeah, man, that is real talk right there. And so I see some people mention about the that HR 5404, 5450, was it 5404? And so, yeah, Representative Mooney is the congressman that proposed that. And so, well, what's really interesting is the fact that beyond shining light on the fact that precious metals are actually money, to my knowledge, I don't think there's anything on the books that that states that you can't actually use gold or silver in exchange amongst yourselves. Apart from it not being something you would want to use to pay a bill, just because the face value and the nominal value there's a wide gap between a silver coin that says $1 on it, but in actuality it may cost you a 20 piece for an eagle, for that matter. But other than that, precious metals as far as gold and silver, it still is money. So I'm not sure exactly what the outcome of that bill would actually be, other than the banking sector having to acknowledge that gold and silver, they would have to acknowledge it back into our monetary system. And then the Treasury would have to get involved as far as beginning to link and back that all those notes with metal. And so that would be the end of the day. That would be what happened at the end of the day. But then the question would be, what would the Federal Reserve? What would happen to all those Federal Reserve notes? Because they can't just vanish. So someone got to be held accountable for that debt. And as of now, our United States government's on the hook for that. So what do you got? I got a lot of comments here. Let me see. Yeah, just fine about metals. Precious. I love precious metals. 100% allocation plan. Save. Okay, so Tony chiming in with his allocation plan. Says save 10% in precious metals, 10% for investing, rent, 10% for charity, and live on the remaining 70%. This is my allocation plan. Tony, thanks for sharing that, my friend. So you're heavily allocated towards your spending account for this moment. So 10 for investing, 10 for charity, 10 for saving, 70% for spending. So that's Tony's plan. So thanks for sharing that, Tony. So yeah, that's a good question to chime in. I meant to do a video a while back about the 3 S's: spending, speculation, and savings. And so out of 100% allocation, just to get an idea of what the viewers of this channel of Rethinking the Dollar, being that we're all sound money enthusiasts here, as well as we're aware of the advantages of the blockchain and cryptos, because I see people posting about cryptos here. I'm curious to see, what are some of your allocations? How do you break it up? How do you break those 3 categories up? And do you agree about the whole idea of investing? Because investing, as I mentioned, in my opinion, is no longer investing, because right now, because of zero and ZERP and NERP, you can't park your money nowhere because it won't grow. You're going to lose out anywhere you go. And that plays into the whole idea of how these hedge funds and these pension accounts that are being gambled with, so they're keeping heavy amount of cash, and they're doubling down and even increasing their percentages in the stock market to try to chase yield. So these are very dangerous times we're in. I don't know why the guy's channel isn't bigger. Yeah, just I think the subject matter, because a lot of people don't want to come to the realization that there are problems happening with our economy. Because everyone can feel it in their pocket one way or another. Either you're noticing that the bills that come in every month are increasing, or the disposable income after your hard week of work is no longer what it used to be, or it doesn't purchase much. So everyone's feeling something. JM Carp 98. It says the number is 18. Okay, you on Skype? So let me give you a number that I can just tell you what. Because let me see here. Oh, we have another caller. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike, it's JM Carp.
Hey there.
Hey, Mike, it's John. This is JM Carp.
How you doing? Do me a favor. Mute your computer because I'm getting an echo.
How you doing? Mute your computer because I'm getting an echo.
Okay.
All right. How you doing, my friend? Thanks for calling in.
Okay. All right. How you doing, my friend?
Can you hear me?
I can, but I still hear myself.
I hear, but I still hear myself.
How do I mute the computer?
Go to the YouTube screen and just go to the YouTube. Go to the video and then hit the pause button right under the video to the left.
And then hit the pause button right under the video.
Or the little speaker, the volume.
The volume.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right.
The volume. Okay. All right.
Is that better? Can you hear me, Mike?
I can hear you and I can hear me twice.
I can hear you. I can hear me.
So on your screen, just as you see me, look to the left where you see the play button, you see the speaker area. If you tap that, that should mute the video.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, here we go.
All right.
Okay.
There you go. Now I hear you.
Sorry.
No problem. How you doing, my friend? Thanks for calling in.
Not bad. I'm calling to you from Taichung, Taiwan.
You're calling from Taichung, Taiwan. Okay. So it is early morning there?
Yes, it is. Right now, it's almost 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock in the morning. Okay, man. So that's my first time speaking to someone on that side live. So thanks for calling in. So what's happening over there?
I'd like to tell you a little bit what I see over here.
Please do.
Going on. The people are definitely into the precious metals.
Mm-hmm.
The girl I date, I was delighted to find out she showed me she had her savings in gold and silver coins. I was like, whoa.
Really? So is that common, or she's just aware of the fact that things are changing, or is it obvious over in that area that things are changing, and so it's worth their while to possess those type of savings?
From what I understand, it's pretty common. Not as much in the younger generation, but definitely the people over here, instead of saving dollars, will save in gold and silver. And there's a gold store everywhere. I mean, you can go to the bank and buy it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like the U.S. You have to drive like an hour to find a gold coin at a baseball card shop.
Yeah. Yeah, I read about that, how in the Asian area, they are very supportive and they encourage their population to acquire metals. And so to me, when I read that a while back, that lets me know that the population there is aware that something is happening and something is going to take place sooner than later, and everyone will have a chance to purchase and acquire. So you can actually go to a commercial bank there and purchase metals, huh?
Yeah, you can walk right in the bank and they have a display, and it's all anonymous as well. You don't have to leave your name or anything like that, so it's private too.
Interesting. That is very interesting. So my thing is, wow, that's it. So that right there, it just raises red flags for me big time, because not only are they positioning precious metals with the petro yuan and gold being redeemable with their notes there, but all of a sudden now people can buy it. So yeah, man. So basically you can acquire. Is the premiums pretty high, or is it is it lower, or what's the premiums like on an ounce, or what measurements can you buy from those kiosks?
On gold, it's similar. On gold, it's similar. If you want like a 1 ounce American Eagle or Maple Leaf or something like that, it's like around, I think, 5%. Mm-hmm. It's pretty standard.
Yeah.
Silver, the premium is a bit higher. It's actually quite high. I think around 30%. So it's a lot higher.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but
I can.
They're pretty pro precious metals, but it's not exactly a bastion of freedom either over over here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's CCTV cameras everywhere. You
Yeah.
watch all day. I see a lot of disturbing trends in regards to freedom and that kind of thing, though.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know what's going on. You know, I wonder if these central bankers, if some of these like financial dynasties, if they don't control the central banks globally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I haven't heard really anybody talk about that, but I was told by a guy that, like, for example, the Rothschild family owns the central bank of Russia.
Mm. I don't know. That'd be a good question. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that because I believe that there's, to what I'm heard, there's Cuba, there's Syria, there's Iran. I think I might be off one or two, but there's only 2 or 3 central banks that are not a part of the conventional central banking model, as far as heavily indebted to other people. So I would imagine if Russia is on some not Rockefeller, but Rothschild status, then they're playing a good game displaying that they are independent of that model, because they are along the lines of incorporating gold and heavy consumers of precious metals as well. And so that's not the Rothschild way, unless they are planning on redoing the system and starting out east, basically. So that's a good thing. I don't know. It will be interesting.
They're a sneaky family.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They are. I mean, and I don't really speak much about that particular family because I'm sure there's more than just that family. But yet, from history, what we've read in books and whatnot, they are the starters of the central banking concept, and they've been very successful at it because they duped 7 billion people to believing that fiat currency coming from a central bank is a part of the government. So they've done a good job there. It's worked so well. Worked well pretty solid. So works well pretty solid. I'm losing my train of thought anyway.
Yeah, and I have a good theory on the whole cryptocurrency thing because as I see it, you know, it seems like a ploy to just get us all into the cashless society.
Yeah. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. And also that video I did earlier in regards to the financial research guy from the PBOC, at the very end of that article there, it talks about how when they do go, if all central banks they all agree to go negative at the same time to stave off the next, recession type of thing, that allowing digital currencies to flourish or allowing people to move into that willingly and with their encouragement would be a good thing to do, because it'll help them take their minds off cash, and especially if they go cashless. Mm-hmm. What else option will there be other than digitals? Now it's just a matter of whether or not they roll out a central bank cryptocurrency and outlaw everything else that's not central bank legal tender as far as digital currency. So clearly that model is going to be utilized to their advantage. It won't be to benefit us, I'm sure, because it's going to be it will be centrally controlled. And I think it's just a matter of time. Just as confident as I am in negative interest rates probably coming here to America, official negative interest rates, I can imagine the rollout of a digital currency once cash becomes a problem for the central banks.
Right.
So that seems like where this is all heading.
And you hear about China doing this Sesame credit system. Have you heard about that?
I have not. Cheers.
Oh wow, you should take a look into that. It's where basically the government is going to surveil you and grade you on everything you do. So your social media posts will give you a score, whether you pay your bills, your taxes, if you don't jaywalk, for example, to watch you with the cameras and the facial recognition.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that, your score will go down. And so you'll basically be judged your whole life, everything. I mean, wow. Like an Orwellian nightmare, man. And now they're just like rolling out this cashless society, all this stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm just like, man.
Yeah, it's very alarming, but yet, man, that's just how things are going, and it's no getting around it, man. And what really brings it home for me is the fact that, from a biblical standpoint, for those that believe in the Bible, how if you go to Revelations, it talks about how things will end up being with a single point of currency that will be utilized only, and if you don't have whatever it is to activate it, as far as a chip or mark or whatever they call it, mark of the beast type of thing, then you won't be able to do commerce or do trade or whatnot. So that's where this is heading. And so, yeah, I'm not sure what to do about it other than pray and just, trust God that he'll get his children through all this mess, because on the end, for those that believe, we still win anyway. So that's how I keep myself sane these days.
I agree with you, Mike. I agree with you. Yeah.
But man, this guy's over on the east side. So yeah, so you're over there for work?
Yeah.
That's nice.
You know what? Actually, I'll tell you, I was a nurse in the state of Michigan.
Oh, okay.
And they were just wanting me to do a lot of unethical things. And the more I began to understand what was going on and so forth, I just had to get out of it ethically. I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, they were wanting to vaccinate people and give them all kinds of toxic drugs and so forth. And, I'm asking questions and even the doctors don't know.
Yeah.
And, I'm over here basically for a job, and I wanted to travel, and kind of see what's going on out there in the world. So
yeah, man. So
that's pretty good.
I've yet to go to that area of the planet, but I definitely plan on going soon, because I hear a lot about I want to go to Singapore, Hong Kong, and Thailand, and all those areas, man. It sounds like there gonna be some interesting things over there to see. So I'm definitely coming over there, my friend. So I'll keep you in mind.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
All right. Enjoy yourself there. Be safe. I'm sorry?
All right. Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot, Mike.
My pleasure. Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Getting a call from Asia. It's 10 o'clock in the morning there. And so I wanted to, I saw a couple comments there about allocation. What's the consensus? What are people doing out here as far as preparation wise? And so I saw somebody mention, let me see, I go back up. Someone mentioned, who we got here? 33% real estate, 33% precious metals, and 33% art. Interesting. And so if that is your, so Don, if that's your entire, or somewhat of your portfolio, is that that's what you are doing, or that's what you would say would be ideal? Because there's not only 1% left for your daily spending. And so unless you are working with a lot, then you but you got real estate, so you get some cash flow there. So I'm sure you're making it work. What else we got here? Eric says 10% mining stocks, 30% precious metals, 30% cash for spending, 30% crypto. Interesting. Okay. That's well diversified. What else we got up here? Question: when will all the printed money overseas come back to the USA? Philman, good question. When will all that cash come back? It will come back, not to be smart, not to sound funny, but it'll come back once there's a viable option to where people no longer need to hold treasuries as well as Federal Reserve notes in their reserves. So as of right now, because international trade demands the dollar or the Federal Reserve note in order to do business as in oil as well as just goods back and forth, because we no longer use gold the way we did prior to 1933 and the wars and whatnot. And so now everyone needs to hold paper in the form of treasuries or have a balance with the Fed and treasuries that they can draw upon when it comes to trade. And so once there's a viable option, which China, I imagine, is positioning this petro yuan as that option, along with other countries probably talking about having crypto, such as Venezuela. Apart from them having a completely chaotic governmental system down there, no one's going to really take that to heart and feel confident that they're going to be able to redeem those coins for actual physical oil. And so that's going to be an experiment that we'll see if it works out. But then you'll have other countries like the crypto ruble is in the works right now. So Russia might say our cryptocurrency is as good as gold. And so if you want to, utilize their coin internationally or domestically, you can probably redeem it for gold. So as more countries present options at that point, then, what need is there for a dollar? What need is there for a Federal Reserve note? Nothing. You just spend it. Basically, you spend it, buying up as much as you can while it still has purchasing power and value. So what's going to be the true measurement of how those dollars flow back to the U.S. is basically based upon what you can actually purchase for them when they look to spend them. So you have a lot of Asian investors that are sitting on large stashes of Federal Reserve notes. And throughout the last decade or so, they've been purchasing anything they can. So I'm sure that you've either heard or read about stories where the Chinese are buying up hotels. They bought in New York City, they bought, I think it's JP Morgan's vault or something like that, which is a 100-year-old skyscraper building with a vault in the basement. And they bought it for pennies on a dollar. Like, who sells a skyscraper for pennies on a dollar unless you're doing someone a favor? Because they, you know, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to talk offhand, but a too big to fail bank basically borrowed all of China's silver and they have yet to return it. So that same bank is doing a lot of favors for them, i.e. just selling a skyscraper for a discount price and other stuff like that. So that's stuff worth checking into. But yet, when nobody no longer has faith in paper, they're going to send it back home. And then that's when inflation will pick up, because it's only so many finite items that are available to be purchased, but there's an unlimited supply of digital and paper dollars to go around. So it's just going to be a bidding war for a roll of toilet paper that might cost $100, because you got all these notes trying to get that one roll of toilet paper, i.e. what's happening in Venezuela. So that's my thoughts there. Says John Miller, 401k is in the stock market, 403b is in the savings plan. It's all about, so yeah, that right there. So 401k and 403b, I mean, to me, that's it's a conventional financial instrument that's been created by some financial institution, and it's been sold to us as being a viable option for us to save in. But once again, everything that instrument invests in is once again a fiat dollar denominated, you know, asset that I imagine a lot of people have claims on what's in those mutual funds and all those stocks and stuff like that. You know, they're just selling that stuff. They don't really know who owns that stuff, in my opinion. So once again, it's just cash sitting around. It's going to be used for something. And I believe our government might end up, you know, bailing themselves in by utilizing private pensions and all these 403s and 401s and 404s. And so we got Albert, his list is 50% in metals, 20% in guns, 30% liquidity. Okay, so the first time somebody mentioned they got a stash of guns, we got Josh 1, 30% crypto, 30% precious metals, 10% cash. So that equals 70%. So I wonder what the other 30 is in. So yeah, so it's interesting to see how people are allocating or allocate some of their fiat currency. Interesting. So for those that might be jumping on and didn't hear my initial question, it was out of even 100%, how do you allocate roughly your finances in regards to preparing for the days ahead, as well as being able to exist today? And so got a variety of people chiming in. Says NEO is a great investment and generates gas. Nice. Money in the bank is not yours, it's theirs if they need it first. Very true. You are a creditor to the bank. Cobalt over uranium. Never know what that is. My list is too long, sir. My list is too long. I'm 50% physical precious metals, 50% shares in uranium, gold, copper, platinum, and diamonds. All right, so we got all that all those natural elements from the earth: uranium, gold, copper, platinum, and diamonds. Can't go wrong with that one. Yeah, man. So that's interesting. It's interesting to see. I'm glad a question was asked about allocation, because that's something worth considering nowadays. Because as I mentioned earlier, investing, the conventional method of investing, is no longer the same. I believe we're actually speculating and not necessarily investing, but that's my opinion. So we have a call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. This is Alan from Alabama.
Hey there, Alan. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. It's might call me conspiracy brother. Some might call me conspiracy.
It's all good. I don't believe in conspiracy. I believe in that's an other side of a story that you want to share. So share it with us, please.
Hi. Well, let me straighten out that 33 record RPM thing I said in the comment.
Yeah.
Your face. For some reason, I clicked over to another link, and it had your display going in a circle like a 33 RPM record.
Interesting.
And that's why I made that comment.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, I read it, but I'm like, I don't know what that is. So anyway,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
But anyway, man, what I was going to say, man, you know, I kind of come from a different angle on a lot of different things than what you do.
Okay, no problem.
And I say, what the system? Everybody thinks the system is broke, and look at it from another perspective, and that the system is working perfectly.
Okay.
For those people that have created it.
Oh, very well.
Exploit people, and they know exactly what is going on. And if you watch, you know, the World Economic Forum for, you know, tips of what the people that run this world, you know, Trump went there, Xi Jinping went there, you know, all the world's leaders went to the World Economic Forum and they went to the World Government Forum, and you get clips of what is coming in the future. And there's going to be absolute chaos coming. That's what I'm getting from it.
Yeah.
And total connectedness and total control, just like that man from Taiwan was talking about. You know, we're definitely entering into that Orwellian state.
Yeah.
And yeah, this system is very much controlled, and right now there's a lot of conflict on. It's almost like I look at it like a mafia. Turf wars. And it's like all these leaders in the world are fighting over the populations that they're going to control.
Right.
And that's my kind of comparison for. And you're looking at these tariffs, and these things are just attacks coming to people. So you're going to see inflation coming. And you saw Russia and Saudi Arabia commit to a treaty to slow the oil production. So that's going to cause, you know, oil prices to go up, which is again going to cause inflation in any product that has oil in it, which we're essentially bathed in oil. So we're definitely going to be seeing some inflation, but all this inflation is all artificial scarcity. It's artificially created. It's not free market created. It's part of this control system.
Right.
And the other thing I was looking at was I lost my train of thought. Man.
It's all good. Now watch this. Let me chime in for a second. Why you think about that one? Let me chime in, because as you were speaking about, you thinking a little bit on the conspiracy side and whatnot, and differently. And so what came to mind as you were just describing that is, if everything is controlled, and so the whole idea of what's happening right now in our country, as far as them knowing what they're doing. And the first thing came to mind is the fact that now there's so much chit chatter about removing guns. And so we're seeing all these accidents happen around the country, and then you got these little kids out here saying we no longer need guns, and they're not even old enough to actually purchase a gun in the first place. But that's that story. So they're trying to remove guns, and then I look at the fact that they're building a wall down to the south. And so my thought is, I wonder, how crazy would it be to say that wall is not designed to really keep people out, but to keep us in? Because if people below the border can come up freely as they will, a lot of people who are aware and have the means of financial means, they're the ones that's repatriating and denouncing their citizenship, and they're leaving the country. So people who are aware of what's going on, they're already leaving. But this wall more so might be to keep us in once those guns are gone. And so that was on just a thought of a conspiracy type of thing that might not necessarily be too far-fetched. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that the wall will not be built. I think it's going to be a lot of money spent and wastage, just like any other government project. And it's just a dog and pony show. There might be certain sections of it built, but I forget what Trump won, $16 billion or something, billions of dollars to build that wall, and it'll never be built. Yeah. It's too much. It's just for show, to try to please his base that he's trying to do something for the people to protect this country. Yeah. But on the other aspect of that, I am for nationalism, like Trump is. I'm not for Trump, or I definitely wasn't for Hillary. But the nationalism aspect of it is that you look at all these countries that we bombed and destroyed all throughout the Middle East, and essentially made them colonies of America. Those people, they're going to want revenge. Yeah. And if any of them did come back over here, they're going to want to do that, take revenge. Yeah. But the other thing I was looking about this purchasing power thing you always bring up, and that is that even though the dollar has lost all its purchasing power, wages have continued to rise with that.
Mm-hmm.
And you could go back to whenever we start to lose that purchasing power. You can look at what a janitor made. You can look at what an engineer made.
Yep.
And there's always going to be a lower caste in a society, at least at where we are in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that, there's not ever been a time where everybody has made enough money to live, where they had to work 2 jobs, or husband and wife both had to work, or whatnot. And that's exactly where we are now. So it's still in a way kind of hard. But what has happened is that the inequality between that lower level and the middle income and then these super wealthy people has definitely widened.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a correlation between interest rates and inflation. And as you'll see interest rates go up, I think you're going to see the inflation go up as well. And you're also the interest rate cannot go more than, I think, 5 or 6% at the most, because that's what we're borrowing at that rate.
Yeah.
And it would destroy the economy.
Yeah. I don't really believe it can go half of that, because it will make our borrowing, it will make the interest payments on what we already owe even more of a burden, which will require them to borrow more money just to pay the interest, and then not to include they're going to borrow. So just the thing is, the deficit is so bad. There's no other than going negative and then just freely willy printing, and literally like the UBI aspect of it now to pay back debts. There's no way of interest rates ever returning back to normal, just because the borrowing cost would be so much. And you factor in, for depositors of banks, they cannot afford to begin giving us true interest on our savings and deposits anymore, just because the bank's gonna really dry up. So yeah, it has to, in my opinion, it has to go well below 0. And then if it goes below 0, then that's when all hell breaks loose. Because I'm not sure about you, but I wouldn't really want to keep much in a commercial bank. So that's me, because I'm not gonna pay them to hold my little crumbs.
Right, yeah, I know and but these interest rates, they're still willing to push them up higher, and it's to me, it's just going to destroy everything. It's going to accelerate the crashing of this economy, some transition or whatever.
Yeah.
But let me say one other thing I was going to say. I keep forgetting what my points are. I'm looking at you and talking to you. It's concerning. And I did not vote for Hillary. Whoever put that up there. Okay, I wrote in Ron Paul.
Yeah,
and he wasn't even a candidate. But anyway, that's just some of the points. I'm also a nurse, just like that gentleman from Taiwan, and I did travel nursing. So I was all over California. I did all over the country, and I was in Stockton where they had that UBI. And I don't know if you remember when New York City claimed bankruptcy. That was in the mid-'70s.
Nope.
And then also the state of California essentially went bankrupt as well. And this is back in like 2007, 2008. And they had to pay the state employees in a script currency. So, this system is designed for these bubbles to rise and pop and act as like a relief valve for the whole economy as a whole.
Yeah.
But these bankruptcies are going to continue to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't doubt it.
That's my thing.
I don't doubt it, because this thing is, more promises has been extended and offered to just get the current politicians through their terms and then on to the next one, to where all these promises will be reneged upon, literally. Like, and my thing is, one of my biggest concerns, or what touches my heart the most, is all the retirees, all the baby boomers that worked their tail off and believed the lie, because everything at that time was good, because there was, everything seemed normal. We were producing. We were the leading economy on the planet. Now we're the biggest consumer. We don't produce nothing, and we borrow everything else. So that's going to be their senior citizen years is going to be debt driven, and it's not going to last for long. So they're going to feel they're going to feel the hardest pinch.
Okay, I agree with you. But this is one of the other points I thought about here, and that is that which country that owns U.S. Treasuries do you think wants to see America's economy fail?
No, nobody wants to see it fail, because they don't. I don't believe no one wants to see it fail until they basically get rid of as much as they can. So that's why I believe that they're extending us so much leeway in us, even starting a trade war. Because here's the thing with me: this whole tariff thing. The fact that Trump is talking big and bad because we are basically running a deficit, you know, the balances are off. Okay, but that's always been the case because we don't produce nothing. So we've been basically funding our government off of China's credit or debt to us. So how are we going to now demand them to balance things out when they've been keeping us afloat and allowing us to live this luxurious lifestyle that we've had in this developed country on this side of the planet? So we're, you know, that's to me, it looks like a lose-lose for everybody. And it's going to be obvious when they continue to do things to counteract those tariffs or whatnot, which is going to cause problems here in the U.S. amongst consumers here. So, yeah, I don't think no one's going to win from this tariffs is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you totally on that. As far as the debt goes, I think China, Russia, Iran, you know, those BRIC countries have quit buying the U.S. treasuries now for several years now.
Yeah.
And people have an idea this petro-yuan deal is going to be a huge transition into that, to the yuan. But I don't see it having a big impact on our economy anytime soon. You know, it's got to get much bigger than what it is now. We're still huge. And this thing's going to drag out for a while. So I just don't see a major reset happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, it's a good idea to own gold and silver and crypto.
Definitely. My motto is, like my shirt says, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Or if it's not nearby, you may not be able to get to it. But no, I appreciate you calling in, my friend. Thank you for chiming in. As always, good to talk to you. All right, enjoy your night.
And keep with you.
I will. Thank you, sir. All right. Interesting. Yeah, man, that is some good conversation there. I like that. So it says, Preppy Hood, Mike, take this as a learning experience to pass down to the next generation. Crypto, gold, silver, whatever we end up using will have its own flaws that will need to be corrected one day. Definitely. I believe that is very true because, you know, everything has a cycle to it. Everything has a life cycle and a period of being important before it's oversaturated and needs to be corrected. It's going like the precious metals market when paper ain't worth anything will reach a peak in value before it reaches probably bubble status because just the price of it will be no longer sustainable for the average person to even acquire just probably a fraction. And then that means it's time to get rid of it, in my opinion. So I believe that is very true. If we weren't careful, one day someone will be saying, I feel bad for the millennials. Yeah. And that's the thing, like the millennial generation, they're going to they stand to witness this shift or restructuring or this correction. And hopefully they learn from it. They learn not to trust the mainstream narrative of everything is good, do what the financial institutions tell you to do. The whole model that's been ingrained into our society of spend, save, invest. That's been the model. You know, you work hard, you save here. And the biggest problem is you save by giving it to strangers, trusting that they operate in your best interest. When actually they do what they need to do to make a commission off of your money so that they can live. And then along the way, if the markets are good and everything's fine, but yet there's no guarantees and none of that. So my thing is, why not take a little education, take some time to educate yourself and focus on you handling your own portfolio as best as you can through educating yourself and being willing to take a little bit more responsibility and not be so passive, become more of an active investor / financial person for yourself. And if it goes wrong, if you lose everything because you messed up, it won't hurt as bad because it was your doing as opposed to giving to a stranger and waking up just being shocked at the fact that all your money's gone or your investment's gone. So that's kind of what my model's become over the last couple of years. What we have here, it says, I'm a millennial compared to working your whole life for nothing at the end. Very sad. America will be great again. I hope so. That would be nice. Think about tulips crashing the markets back in the 1600s. Yep, it reached the peak, and then it reaches a peak of popularity as well as just nominal value. Then it crashes. Is Facebook a skill? Facebook, what you can do through Facebook can be considered a skill because you can get paid pretty well for it. As you see all those commercials that come across your YouTube channels as well as on Facebook, all those paid infomercials. You know, hold on 1 second. Give me 30 seconds. I'll show you how I make $100,000 on Facebook and with just 2 hours a day. So people are making something. Maybe we can bring back the 50s growth. Yeah, we will. And that's saying that. Here's my thing. There will be growth in this country again. That is true because the infrastructure is still here. I know in Detroit, especially in the area I grew up in, I actually grew up around the corner or down the street, not too far from the old Ford plant. And so it's still up and running. They still do something out of there, but it's an old historical building that's still standing. The bricks is there, the windows are still there. And so it's just waiting to be turned into something, some type of facility that can manufacture something. So we have more than enough warehouses that are abandoned in Detroit just to get this thing started again. So it is possible. So what we got here? So we are at the 55-minute mark. We're at the 55-minute mark, a little shy under an hour. So we are reaching our peak conversation time because it's almost 10:30. But I enjoy everybody chiming in. I enjoy everyone calling in, sharing their thoughts. And it's always good to have new viewers chiming in, sharing their thoughts. So other than that, I want to say wish everybody a good evening. And we will definitely do this again. I'm actually working on some software stuff on the back end to make this flow a little bit smoother. And so once I get that stuff up and running, I'll look to do this every other day, if not every day. And so I really enjoy having a chance to speak to you guys directly. It's fun and I learn a lot. So I hope you guys do as well. Also, as always, if you find this information informative, give me a thumbs up so more people can find it in the searches and come across this information, especially with the news updates as well as the interviews and whatnot. And so it helps get the news out there, get the information out there so people can become more aware on monetary matters, because right now is the best time to do so. And if you have not, also visit, get the 5 Reasons to Hold Precious Metals Before the Next Recession. Ebook is free. Just click it. It'll be right there in your phone, your computer. Read it, share it. Also, there's a little link on that page. Leave a comment if you don't mind. Then also I have a variety of educational videos and whatnot. So there's no reason why people can't get the information they need to become more aware. Now it's a matter of getting the millennial generation involved and getting them out of the mainstream narrative of solely saving paper and digits. And so we'll see how that goes. But enjoy your evening. Look forward to seeing you guys again on another RTD Live Talk. Have a good night. Have a good night.